How Tesla just broke the EV industry. Tesla just won the charging wars, and the company is now set to break and dominate the EV industry. Since the company was founded in 2003, Tesla has been at the forefront of the accelerated development of electric vehicles, outdoing even the legends in the vehicle industry. This latest charging deal for Tesla marks the date when Elon Musk takes his company to the moon. So, how did Tesla get here, and what plans does Elon Musk have for the future? As a result of the recent partnerships that Ford and General Motors have made with Musk, the two largest automakers in the United States will rely on Tesla's charging technology for their electric vehicles. This will push the industry toward a de facto norm in the United States. You know, it's quite interesting since the Biden administration recently launched a $7.5 billion charging infrastructure funds for businesses to apply just 4 months ago. Consequently, the electric vehicle market, which is still expanding, faces a split between two different and incompatible charging standards. This gap has the potential to obliterate completely several EV makers who may decide to take a different approach and compel the United States government to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in chargers that the automobiles and trucks of the future won't be able to use. Imagine pulling up to a fuel station and finding a fuel dispenser with a different size hole than your gas tank. It would be frustrating, right? Now, even FreeWire Technologies has plans to begin placing Tesla-compatible connectors on its chargers beginning next year. It's crazy to think about, but that's basically what's going on in the electric vehicle charging sector right now. Conflicts between competing technology camps are nothing new, as evidenced by the war in the 1980s between VHS and Betamax, or the constant uncertainty that arises among consumers regarding which USB cable to use. But in this particular instance, Washington weighed in with its preference and billions of dollars. Musk's company has been making major strides in dominating the charging sector, and the agreements by Ford and GM to embrace Tesla's North American charging standard give their efforts a huge boost. According to data that was made available by Cox Automotive in April, the three businesses together were responsible for 75% of all electric vehicle sales in the United States during the first quarter of this year. The Federal Highway Administration decided in February to require businesses who are applying for electric vehicle charging funds to utilize the combined charging system, which is the alternative standard, except for Tesla. Almost all automakers are equipping their vehicles with CCS connectors, although General Motors and Ford won't make the move until 2025. CCS is utilized in Europe, where regulators have mandated it, and is even used by Tesla. According to the White House, recipients of government funding are permitted to use that funding to construct NACS plugs and CCS one. However, detractors argue that attempting to have it both ways could thwart the electric vehicle adoption goals of the United States by delaying the arrival of a consensus regarding a single charging station. In the long run, it would benefit the consumer to have just one norm to adhere to. The decision made by Ford and GM to support Tesla's technology puts them on board with the chargers that the industry considers to be technologically better in terms of charging speed, ergonomics, and level of dependability. During a webinar hosted by Resources for the Future, Chris Smith, Ford's Chief Government Affairs Officer, stated that the company sees benefits in the NACS technology in terms of consistent access to charging and the performance of the plug itself. According to Smith, the availability of charging will be incredibly important for Ford's business model, and he added that the transition signals a significant step forward to ensure that they've got unified standard. GM also believes that establishing NACS as the unified standard for North America will pave the way for greater widespread adoption of electric vehicles, as stated by GM CEO Mary Barra during a conversation on Twitter Spaces with Elon Musk on Thursday. However, other automakers only had the opportunity to consider NACS just a year ago. While other firms came together around CCS through a global standard-setting process promoted by Charin, Tesla maintained its charging system unique to its own vehicle. In an interview, Oleg Logvinov, the chair of Charin's board of directors, said that for everybody to converge on something, it needs to be of open standard. At that point in time, CCS was the only option that possessed all the characteristics of an open standard and the capability of functioning as a fundamental component of the ecosystem. However, because Tesla has used its NACS technology to build a vast network of fast-charging superchargers over the past decade, the present CCS fast-charging network is just slightly larger than half its size and is beset by reliability issues. According to the Energy Department, Tesla operates around 19,400 fast chargers across the country that use the NACS standard, whereas all other firms combined operate approximately 10,500 fast chargers that use the CCS standard. The absence of CCS infrastructure presents a significant challenge for businesses such as Ford and GM, which have staked their futures on the development of electric vehicles. Barra stated that entering into a partnership with Tesla would increase the number of fast chargers available to GM consumers. So, Ford and GM were forced to make a very pragmatic decision about the non-Tesla network being smaller and more error-prone. The Tesla charging experience and the company's network are undoubtedly superior to anything else now available. In the fall of 2016, Tesla moved to seize the initiative, officially opening up its charging technology and renaming it the North American Charging Standard, to establish itself as the preeminent charger technology in the United States. During the Twitter Spaces event, Musk spoke in favor of adopting NACS as a national standard and extolled its many positive attributes. Musk stated that they can focus on one standard to benefit consumers. People won't need to be concerned about which plug, socket, or charging station because everything will function without a hitch. Public charging infrastructure has been so poor to date that Ford and GM were forced to do what they did. They have now committed billions of dollars toward developing electrified powertrains because if charging infrastructure doesn't exist, who buys the car? It is a self-preservation move. According to Dan Ives, Managing Director for Equity Research at Wedbush Securities, from the standpoint of automakers, Congress has disappointed again and again in allocating the cash to construct a charging network utilizing CCS. Many automakers may have to bet on Tesla on the supercharger because they can't rely on the government CCS infrastructure build-out, making it the biggest black eye the federal government has faced in its EV initiative. Robin Patterson, a spokesperson for the White House, pointed out that for NACS to be eligible for charger financing, the federal standards must be met as long as drivers can count on a minimum of CCS. This requires using money from the federal government to build connectors of both sorts at the same location. However, considering that Tesla, Ford, and General Motors, the three main producers of electric vehicles in the United States, converge on Tesla's technology, it seems increasingly likely that future electric vehicles will be constructed with a NACS intake. EVgo, which runs most of the fast charging stations in the United States outside of Tesla's network, is actively evaluating a potential retrofit for NACS, according to a statement by Politico. And also, Blink Charging announced that it is working on a rapid charger with ports for both CCS and NACS. Even Charon, the group behind CCS, announced that it will be convening a task force to support submitting NACS to a standardization process to unify the charging standards market in North America. If the private sector is moving in the direction that Tesla's system is heading, the question is whether the Joe Biden administration will remain with its choice to impose CCS and lose money, or pivot to Tesla's technology. The Tesla supercharger and connector system has been purpose-built from the very beginning to give the very best possible experience for Tesla consumers. Even if Tesla doesn't get compensated for sharing the design, it's still their product being used as the standard, and merely opening up their network can bring the corporation over $5 billion in new income, according to some early estimates. But despite the avalanche of success, there will invariably be some roadblocks along the way. The first issue is that not all their rivals rush to adopt their superior technology. Electrify America may operate fewer charge stations than Tesla, but they have the advantage of being in bed with many important firms, and they might choose to battle Tesla on this takeover. What do you think will happen? Will Tesla's technology win, or will there be other options accepted by the consumers? That's all for this video. See you in the next one.